Started here. If you can hear me, I cannot hear anybody else. So let me know if you can help me out there. All right, I'm going to jump over to screen share and I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint. So we are going to go through how to work with real estate investors today. And if you've got any questions, you can certainly put them into the chat and hopefully I will see them. And we're trying to get the sound to come up now. There we go. Okay, now we got sound. All right. Obviously not on my computer right now. So, all right, so how to work with real estate investors. I always start with one thing, and that is, what is your big why? So what is the reason that you want to work with real estate investors? What is the reason that you're in real estate in the first place? What is it that gets you out of bed every day? What drives you? What motivates you to do a great job? And once you figure that out, I think that everything else falls into place. Your motivation to put goals in place and then chase those goals, check in on those goals over a period of time as well. It's all going to be driven by what is your big why in life. And that's going to be different for everybody. And I bring this up because I think it's something that everybody should think about. Everybody should know what their big why is. You shouldn't even, really have to hesitate when somebody asks you, what is your big why? For a lot of people, that's going to be family. But for other people, it could be family. Then it could be saving for retirement, saving for your child's education, could be saving for a new home, could be saving for investment properties. What is your big why? So think about that and work with real estate investors that understand what their big why is as well. So what is your big why with when working with real estate investors? If we were just to break it down to that area alone, what is it? Is your big why to find investments for yourself, or is it to work with investors? Is it to build a bigger level of knowledge for yourself? Is it to help your clients build knowledge as well? Because we're always educating people, whether we're working with them as a buyer that's going to own or occupy a home, or whether they're a real estate investor, we're educating them along the way as far as what makes for a good real estate investment, right? And this is no different. So to help your clients build wealth, is it to build wealth for yourself? Is it to help clients build passive income? Is it to help yourself build passive income? If you could acquire 10 rental properties that had a cash flow of $500 per month a piece on them, and you had $5,000 per month in passive cash flow, would that be a difference maker in your life? Would that help you with what you're currently doing in your real estate sales business? And I think the answer to that question would be yes for most people. It might mean that all of the decisions that you make are far different than the decisions that you're making today, because you have that passive wealth built up. And the cash flow is just one part of that, because there's many other benefits that we'll go through as well. Could this help you pay for college? Could it be, that you're doing this for tax benefits? Is it for retirement planning? So lots of different reasons why somebody would have a big why in life and why they would want to be involved with working with real estate investors. I think one of the most basic ones would be, what would it look like not only to add passive income for yourself, because you're out there doing it, once you've gained that knowledge and you're sharing that knowledge with your real estate investors, what does that look like once you've acquired 10 properties? What does it look like when you do 10 real estate transactions per year with a real estate investor? And by the way, once you build up your real estate investor clientele, they will tell other real estate investors about how good you are. And they continue to repeat. They continue to do deals over and over. So this just becomes another part of your lead generation strategy, just another lever in your business. So work with real estate investors that have a big why. And most of them do. If you talk to a real estate investor, they're no different than a stock investor or a bond investor. They're going to know exactly why they want to invest in real estate and what it can do for them. Okay, so working with real estate investors is a great way to increase your gross commission income every year. I just used that example of what if it were 10 extra transactions per year. Right now, the average commission, average sales price is about 300,000. If we said the average commission was 3%, because that's a nice, easy number to work with, that means the average commission is $9,000. 10 transactions, there's an extra $90,000 a year in gross commission income just by working with real estate investors. Even if it's 5 and it's 45,000, that's a nice addition to start with, including your other owner-occupied buyers that you're working with and your sellers that you're working with, new construction that you're working with, referral transactions that you're making to other realtors throughout the country or the world for that matter, commercial transactions that you might be referring to others. There's all these different ways to bring in income besides just working with buyers and just by working with sellers in standard traditional real estate transactions. So investors like to do multiple transactions. Again, they're just that repeat business. You can build an investor database as well. So when it comes to lead gen time, you've gone through your typical database of buyers and sellers, and the question should be, do you know anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Well, now you get to the investment part, right? And you're building a database just for investors. So with Command, you can put them into Command, and then you can tag them real estate investor, right? And so when you go into Command, you just pull up that tag. Now you've got your whole list of real estate investors. Makes it really easy. Investors are great to work with because they understand real estate. There's less education and counseling that needs to be done. It doesn't mean that they don't want that education and counseling, because they do. It just means that they already have a base of knowledge. They're not a first-time home buyer. They also are just like we are. When we're doing a real estate transaction, a lot of times we'll talk to one of our associate agents, one of our colleagues that's in the business, and we'll bounce ideas off of them. Well, real estate investors are exactly the same way. They want to talk real estate. They have a passion for it. They want to bounce ideas off of you as well and count on you as being the person that does educate and counsel them at a very high level. So, and by the way, I don't want that to scare you. I just want you to learn about real estate investing as much as possible. Read every book that you can. Go to Keller Inc., KELLERINK Inc.com. And that is where Gary and his team of writers, they sell all of their publications through Relic Publishing on that website. And you can purchase any one of Gary's books there, whether it's the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Shift, Hold. Hold is another great book on real estate investing as well that everybody should read. But make sure that you have enough education in real estate investing. This class is just one other aspect to it, because doing a real estate transaction with somebody that's an investor is just another real estate transaction. There really is just some basics to it. It's nothing that's that complicated. And you can, again, do 5, 10, 15, 20 transactions with real estate investors every year. Investors are usually very well qualified as well. They may be cash investors, or they could be 20% down or more. I'm going to tell you that coming into a real estate transaction with all cash and it's a buy and hold is not going to be the best return on investment. It's that power of leverage. It's using other people's money. It's coming in with 20% down. And let's just say that 20% down is what it's going to take, and it's $40,000 to purchase that investment property. You've just turned that $40,000 into a $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 leveraged investment. Now you've got something that's appreciating at 3, 4, 5% or more, especially in this market every year. And it's not $40,000 that's growing in investment. It's that $200,000, $250,000 or $300,000 property that's growing in that investment. And that's what makes real estate investment so dynamic, is because of the power of leverage. And that's why there's so many millionaires that are created by investing in real estate as well. So based on the average sales price of $250,000, I haven't updated that portion of this class yet. For a long time, 250,000 was actually kind of at the higher end. Now it's at the lower end of an average sales price. But at 250,000 times 3%, that's 7,500 in GCI, and 10 extra transactions on that is 75,000 in GCI every year. So develop a plan, set a goal for the number of transactions and the amount of GCI. When you're goal setting every year, you definitely want to make working with real estate investors and the amount of income that you can derive from that as part of your overall plan. All right, so next slide. How do I attract investor clients? So perfect place is your own database. Does everybody in your database know that you work with real estate investors? That you have that basic understanding of how to work with real estate investors. Your farm area would be another great way to get the message out. Your affiliates, your lender, letting your lender know that you or lenders know that you work with real estate investors. The title company that you work with as well, that you work with real estate investors. Your home inspector, whoever you work with on your insurance policies, your general insurance policies, they should, in which they know a lot of people, by the way, they should be able to refer people to you. Your home warranty rep is another great spot. So build a website about real estate investing, or build a landing page as part of your real estate website about just anything that has to do with real estate investing. Social media. Every time you list a property that an investor is selling, let the world know about that. Every time you close a property with a real estate investor, let the world know about that. And social media is a great way to do that. We already talked about Keller Inc., but there's already an investment seminar that's built, and you can go to kellerinc.com, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and then the investor workshop presentation. It's there for free on the website. Read the book, go through all of the materials about the investor workshop, and it might be something that you integrate into your business and something that you're doing. And then networking group. If you don't belong to a networking group, you really should. Find a business networking group to join, or simply create your own. And all you need to do by doing that is create just a Word document or a spreadsheet with your business owners in that, and that you can network with. So we talked about real estate investing as a path to wealth and creating millionaires. Well, owning a business is the other path to doing that as well. So typically a business owner is, if they're doing well in their business, they're going to have more disposable income than somebody that does not own their own business. They also happen to know more people than the average person. And it's been said that the average person knows 150 people, and you'll hear me talk about this when I present the 36 Touch class as well. However, a business owner is going to know more than 150 people, and that's your leverage. So if you've got 150 people in your database, and those 150 people know 150 people, that's 22,500 if you do the math on that. And that's the power of leverage in your database. So you've got to let everybody know. Create your own networking group. Stay in touch with a list of businesses, and that business list should be at least 35 people. Just stay in touch with them on a regular basis. All right. Any questions so far? If you want to just, unmute yourself if you've got any questions at this point, I'll just pause for a second. No? Maybe I'm doing too good of a job explaining everything. don't hesitate to ask. You can kind of cut in if you want to as well. I have no problem with that. Okay, so we talked about building your list of businesses through your own yellow pages. Be an expert at helping real estate investors, and you'll attract referral leads from other agents as well. Chad Hare just jumped on with us, and Chad focuses on commercial side of the business, but he works with real estate investors as well. And he would be one agent that could honestly say that he's helped out a number of other agents that were not familiar with real estate investing and have helped out their clients as well and paid out referral fees. So you be that agent that attracts other agents and their referrals so that you can have that business as well. So
yeah, definitely, Todd. Hey, Todd, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm driving.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah. I think we just hit the $370,000 mark of referrals that we paid back to KW agents, and I'd say probably at least a third of that is for KW agents' clients that are looking to invest in commercial real estate or multifamily real estate. So we have limited inventory out there, just like you guys do, but the deals are out there definitely. And there's so many different asset types, from self-storage to multifamily to office, all different price ranges too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Chad. Yeah, so not only on on the residential side of things, but again on the commercial side of things, there's plenty of real estate investment opportunities, and we should really know about those things, especially when you're talking to these business owners that they may need they may run a restaurant, but they want to buy a self-storage place because they heard that was a good way to go, that it was they didn't need to be on site every day. It's something that they could run on the weekends. That's very typical. Or maybe they want to invest in land as well as just a passive income strategy to their business. So, all right. So real estate investment clubs. So MNREC, the Minnesota Real Estate Club.com. The membership is $797 per year. You could look into that. Check out a Facebook group called Bigger Pockets. Great place to interact with other people that are investors. There are agents on there as well. It's just a way to build knowledge about real estate investing. And then Caleb Hayes, who is an operating partner in the KW system, he's got the Green Bay Market Center, the Eau Claire Market Center, Appleton Market Center. He's got his own university called HaigHsUniversity.com, and he's got a house flipping course on his website for $50. And he's done, I don't know how many hundreds of flips. If you're into that, it's a great way to go. I'm going to tell you that is not something that I specialize in. I more or less specialize in working with investors that are looking to do the buy and hold strategy besides the buy flip strategy.
It's that name again of the flipper.
Yep, Caleb Hayes. Yep, Caleb Hayes, Hayes, and then it's HaigHsUniversity.com.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So attorneys as well, they're great to network with. Find attorneys that specialize in real estate and other areas as well, and just network with them and get a referral relationship set up back and forth with attorneys. Once they understand that you understand real estate and real estate investing, they will refer people to you. So tax professionals as well. Your tax professional knows a lot of people. They may know somebody that's looking to invest in real estate as well. And if you can find that tax professional that does understand real estate, that's just an even bigger bonus as well. Team up with the commercial division. We kind of just talked about that with Chad being on as well, and don't miss out on those opportunities. Okay, finding properties. So cities, the select cities that are close by for ease of management. I think that's important. Most real estate investors are going to want to know what's going on with their property. They're going to want to drive by it occasionally as well, just to see, is it there? Does the yard look like it's in good shape? Things like that. So it just makes it easier the closer by. If they're self-managing, or if you're self-managing that property, and you're going to show that property, having it close by makes it far easier to deal with. Neighborhoods, select stable neighborhoods, maybe some place where there's new infrastructure. I can tell you when the North Star rail line went in, all of those stops along the way, there was real estate investors that were buying properties in and around those rail stops because they knew that the property values would for sure hold, but more than likely appreciate greater than other areas. That same thing played out along the light rail lines as well, to a greater degree, because most of those were in the city, and you had your major developers that were building apartment buildings and condos that were within walking distance of those light rail stops. So look for new freeways, new roadways, things like that are going in that would, any new employers as well. I'm sure when Amazon's HQ2 went in I think the DC metro area, obviously that's going to cause a run up in property values because of it. Austin, Texas right now, there's several major corporations, Tesla, Samsung, that are Oracle, looking to expand in that area, or are expanding in Austin, Texas, and their real estate market is red hot. So there's some projects right there and new employers that would add to the value of any real estate in those areas. So property types, what type of property does the real estate investor or yourself want to invest in? Single family, townhouse, condos, duplexes, twin homes, all of those are possible choices. I can tell you that my investment strategy has been around townhomes. I've really enjoyed investing in townhomes and not worrying about what happens with the yard or if the driveway gets plowed. And if you break down the association due, most times you will see that it's well worth paying the association due, especially when it comes to exterior maintenance. I mean, you could argue that $100 a month in exterior maintenance budgeting would be a practical way to go. Most people don't do it. And then they get caught with a, $15,000 roof repair, or, a $20,000 siding repair. So, all right, features, how many bedrooms, baths, garage? So right now in the Twin Cities, you could probably determine that every bedroom in a rental is probably worth $800 a month in rent. Not every place is going to carry that. So not every place is going to carry $2,400 on a 3-bedroom place, but it might carry $2,100 or $2,200 or $2,000, right? It's just with 3 bedrooms versus 2, you've got a better chance of getting that upper end of the rental range than the lower end of that rental range. And then of course, other things, finished square footage is going to matter, age of the house, whether it's new construction or not. There is a criteria checklist, again, referring back to kellerinc.com, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Click on the criteria worksheet that they have as a free download at kellerinc.com. I sound like a salesperson for Keller Inc. I'm a big advocate, especially when it's free. And all of those books, shame on us if we have not read them, because we're all KW agents and we should be reading what the writing team is putting out. All right, so analyzing properties. So will the property cash flow or not? So each property should cash flow a minimum of $100 to $200 a month. And I say that because number one, it's not going backwards. It's not a lot of money at $100 to $200 per month. However, over a period of time, the rents will go up and the cash flow will become greater, and the property will be paid down because you're servicing the debt as time goes along as well. There might be a refinance on that property after 5 or 10 years where that would create a situation where you could have greater monthly cash flow. But make sure that the property is cash flowing, because you will only be able to acquire so many properties if you are not cash flowing from day one. And then will the property appreciate? Not every property appreciates. There's manufactured homes that will not appreciate. So you want to buy a property or invest in a property that will appreciate, that's in the right neighborhood, and will have that greater upside potential for you. And then will there be principal reduction from the financing? There better be. I don't know any negative amortization financing that's going on right now. If that does come back, stay clear of it. It is not a good deal and it's not a great way to go. And that's not a real estate investment at that point. And then will there be tax benefits? Yes, there will be. And make sure that you're advising any client that you work with, and then yourself as well. Make sure that you're getting proper tax counseling from a CPA or a tax counselor. Okay, so let's analyze a property. I did kind of breeze through some of this stuff quickly, and the reason why is that I wanted to spend more time on analyzing a property. So I'm going to show you this here. This is a transaction that I was involved with myself back in November of 2011. This is a real transaction, and I know that some of you may be rolling your eyes right now that was 2011, and that is not anywhere close to being what you could do today, and I would agree with you. However, the next property that I'm going to go over is going to be a property that was just listed, and so that one will be a current property and a current analysis on that property. So just follow along with me. If there's any questions or if I'm going too fast, slow me down and just ask that question. So let's go through this one here. So we have a purchase price of $77,000. Okay, so 6201 Macklin Ave in Otsego is a townhome with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a loft, and a 2-car garage, and it's an end unit. Okay, so end unit, higher demand than an inside unit. Again, it covers some of those bases that I talked about before. We're going to be budgeting for exterior maintenance. The snow and lawn is taken care of on this particular one. Sanitation was taken care of. The hazard insurance is taken care of as well. There are some insurance needs, and I'll go over that in just a minute as well. But that one was covered on this one. In some cases, on some townhomes, that will include your water and sewer bill as well, which would be just another benefit for the tenant that moves into that particular property. Okay, so the down payment, I had 25% on this one, and you can finance them with 20% down now. On that at that particular time, 25% was required. So that was $19,250 for the down payment. The closing costs were $4,000. So the total cash to close was $23,250. So that left a loan amount on this property of $57,750. Okay, pretty basic stuff, right? Pretty easy. By the way, make sure you take this information and you go drop it into a spreadsheet so that you can analyze this on every property that you go out and you work with on, an investor on, okay? So our principal and interest payment on this particular deal was $310 per month, and rates were a little higher back then. Taxes, $125 per month. Association dues, $145. Insurance, $15. Okay, and so that insurance is a policy that the owner of the property would get. It's an HO6 policy. It's basically a renter's policy, right? And what's that is going to cover is all of the fixtures. So lights, cabinets, vanities, your appliances, all of that is going to be covered inside of that policy, along with a $300,000 liability coverage as well. And for $15 a month, it's just cheap coverage, very cheap coverage. Okay, we've got zero management fee on this particular property as well, because this investor was self-managing. So per month, we're $595 per month total costs. Okay, so pretty basic stuff. As far as a management fee is not going to be overly expensive on a property like this. probably get that management fee down to, 75 to $100 a month, roughly. Okay. Rent, $1,300 per month. By the way, that was 2011. It's more like $1,500 a month now. Expenses, $595 per month. Cash flow per month, $705 per month. And the cash flow per year, $84.60. So does anybody think that that's a home run for an investment so far? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a over the top, great deal, great investment, great cash flow, right? So let's continue to further analyze this one. So what is our cash on cash return? So cash flow of $84.60 divided by the total cash to close of $23,250, that equals 36% annually. So anybody that works with a real estate investor that can achieve a 36% annual cash on cash return, they're going to jump all over that deal. Chad, wouldn't you agree if you're able to chime in?
Yeah, that's an amazing return. I mean, that would be something that depending on, even if it's a bigger purchase price, right? I mean, that cash on cash is extremely strong.
Exactly. Yeah. For the amount of effort that goes into managing this particular property, which the management of this, once the tenant is placed, is going to be that you receive the rent payment and then you make the association due payment and you make the mortgage payment. It's going to be about as simple as that. You won't have to worry about the snow and lawn. You won't have to worry about that exterior maintenance. You won't have to worry about any of that. So pretty basic. So let's continue to further analyze. Current market value right now, $195,000. That's actually inaccurate. It's actually $215,000 now because the prices have skyrocketed in that development just this year. But we're going to go with that $195,000. So current loan amount, and all I did was take the original loan amount of $57,750. And I forget when I reworked this, but it was probably in spring of 2020. So the spring of last year, I kind of reworked the numbers on this. Maybe it was a little bit later in the year to come up with that $195,000 current market value. So I just ran an amortization table on this right from the MLS. In the financial tools that are on the MLS, there's amortization table. So I punched in that original loan amount and then had it run out, almost 9 years at the time that I did this. That left a loan balance of $48,000. If the investor was going to sell the property, and I just used 6% as a round number for the cost of sale, so that would be $12,000. The equity would be $135,000. The 9-year cash flow. So I just took 9 times that $84.60 that we had for a 1-year cash flow. That was $76,140. Okay. So our return on investment with appreciation is 825% or 91.6% annually. Okay. Is that a good deal? Phenomenal. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. So how did we get there? So we had the cash flow of $76,140 plus the equity that equals $211,000. I took out the $19,250 for down payment. I suppose you could argue that you could take out the $23,250 as well. It's neither here nor there, really. The original investment then equals grew into $191,890. Divide that total cash investment of $23,250, and that equals 825%. So pretty straightforward. If you don't get this, you can certainly let me know. We'll make sure that we've got everybody that's on here today, that we get you a copy of this handout so that you can go make your own spreadsheet and you can kind of run some of these numbers on it. I would urge you to just go into the MLS, find a property, and then go work out whether or not you think that it would cash flow, if it would be a good deal or not. By the way, I just use Craigslist, the rental section on Craigslist. I'll go into Roseville or Vandus Heights or Forest Lake or Maple Grove, whatever it is. I'll go into that town and I'll look at properties that are being rented on Craigslist and what they're asking for them. And I'll kind of just play around in there to do my analysis as far as what I think something is going to rent for. And that's where I come up with my rental numbers. Unfortunately, the MLS is not mature enough on the rental side of things yet to really go in and be able to do a good market analysis. So my market on rental just comes from Craigslist and how much somebody could charge, okay? So I'm gonna go to the next analysis because again, you can say, well, that was then and this is now. Okay, here's another property. This property was on the market in Maple Grove. And by the way, when I went to go search for a property that I could use to insert and do an analysis on here, the first city I went to was Maple Grove. And about the fourth or fifth property that I clicked on was 9461 Trenton Lane. So it did not take me very long before I already knew, because I knew what rental rates look like in Maple Grove. And that's just why I did that. I've either lived or worked in Maple Grove now for almost 35 years. So I just happened to know that area really well. And that's why I went there. So it didn't take me long, again, to find a property. So here's 9461 Trenton Lane, purchase price of $269,900. And this, by the way, this was listed on 3/12 of 2021. So it wasn't like, this was even 2 years ago, which would have been a completely different story. And of course, 9161 Trenton Lane sold in about 10 seconds. I don't know what it actually closed at because I didn't go back and look. So I just used the full list price. 20% down on that 269,900 is $53,980. The closing costs I used were $8,000. Total cash to close, $61,980. That left us with a loan amount of $215,920. Okay. So again, just going to the financial tools that are on the MLS, it's one of the categories that you can click on. I went in and put this into the amortization table that they allow for to come up with some of my numbers. So the principal and interest payment on this was $1,030. By the way, right now we're at a very interesting time in history because as much as an owner-occupied homeowner can get a great rate, so can a non-owner occupied investor can get a great rate. So what we can charge for rent and what we're going to pay in interest, the spread has never been bigger. And that's where your cash flow is really going to be derived from. So principal and interest on this one was $1,030. Taxes right from the MLS, $215 per month. And then I use $75 per month for insurance because this is a little different than a townhome. So this is a full insurance policy where on the townhome, the association already had coverage on the shell of the building, right? Or on the shell of the unit. Where here, well, we're going to spend a little bit more on insurance. So I use $75 per month. I don't know that I'm fully accurate on that. I don't think I'm too far, out of the ballpark on that. We don't have any association dues on this one. And then I didn't use a management fee either. So this gives us a total of $1,320 on this particular property. Rent, this was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. So I used rent of $2,000 per month. So I am below that $2,400 threshold that I used when calculating a 3-bedroom and being able to pull $800 per month per bedroom from a unit. So again, I think I'm actually low on my rental amount. I think that you could probably get a little bit more in rent. By the way, this property was gorgeous. Somebody had gone in there and done some real nice work to it. It was in really good shape. Now, some people might not like the paint color, or some people might not like the carpet or the flooring, but at the end of the day, it was in really good shape and you could move somebody right into that property. So rent $2,000, expenses $1,320 per month. Our cash flow $680 per month on this property. So we had great cash flow on the property that was purchased in 2011. Property purchased in 2021 can derive that same amount of cash flow with just a little bit of effort. Remember, I said first city I went to, fourth property that I pulled up was this particular property, and bam, here we are, $680 per month in cash flow, and the cash flow per year, $81.60. So let's do an analysis on this, because this wasn't a $77,000 property like the last one. This is a $269,900 property, and we've got similar cash flow. So our cash flow is $81.60 per year, and then the cash to close was $61,980. So because the purchase price was a lot more, the closing costs and the down payment were a lot more. So our cash on cash on this property, 13.1%. And I'm going to tell you, most real estate investors would love to get a cash on cash return of 13.1%. So not a bad deal. It's just not as good as the last one at 36%, but 13.1% is pretty good. And when you look at that, could you go to the bank and get 13.1% return on your money by just depositing money? No. If you got a 0.25%, you'd be lucky. A 0.5% on a certificate of deposit, maybe a little bit more if it were longer term certificate of deposit. So let's go to a mutual fund. Do most mutual funds pay 13.1%? No, they don't. There's some that do, and if you do your analysis properly, you can hit that. But over a 5-year or 10-year period, it would be very rare that annually that a mutual fund is going to show a 13.1% return. Usually they're going to be less than that. Okay, so here we've got a real property that's more than likely not going to go backwards in value in a place like Maple Grove. So I did a 10-year projected value on this because obviously it's 3/12 of 2021 as far as the close date goes. So I just did appreciation, just modest appreciation of 3% on this for 10 years. That brought the value up to $365,000. Okay. And then after 120 payments, that original $215,000 loan, $215,920 loan would have been paid down to $170,100. Okay. And then we had, if we were to sell the property, we would have closing costs, again, using that 6% number of $22,000. Equity of $172,900. Our 10-year cash flow is going to be $81,600. That's again just that 10 times the $8,160 to get to the $81,600. Actually, I got to make a change on that. I see I've got a typo on that. I've got one extra zero, and I need to move that comma over. So it should just be 10 times 8160. Hopefully everybody sees that. So how did we arrive? So then this gives us a return on investment with appreciation over a 10-year period of 191% or 19.1% annually. When we combine the cash on cash with appreciation, we're up to 19.1% annually. So again, going back to your bank account, your savings account at the bank, not going to pay you 19.1%. Your certificate of deposit, not going to come close. Your mutual fund, not going to come close and carries much higher risk, in my opinion, than a rental property in Maple Grove would carry. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of work to this. Shouldn't be too much work, though. So we had a cash flow of $81,600 plus our equity of $172,900. That equals $172,900 minus our $53,980, which was our down payment. And then that gives us the 118,920 divided by the cash investment of 61,980, or 191% return. That's how we came up with those numbers. So you don't need to get into this necessarily this level of detail. You will impress somebody if you do. You know, you go show them, yeah, I understand this. Here's an analysis on 5 properties that we're going to go look at. If you can go look at 5 properties today, with the lack of inventory out there, right? But if you were to start to show people this, what they really want to know though is how much is it going to cost to get in? Okay, it's going to cost you total cash to close 61,000. You know, here's a breakdown on the payments, and here's what I think it can rent for, and this is why I think you should buy this property. Right now, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, if you want to look at what that looks like cash on cash, well, it's 13.1%. If you want to see what that might look like on a projected 10-year basis, here's what that would look like. I'm not going to guarantee anything here. I'm just telling you this is what it looks like, and that's your script to them. And so that they now can process and digest that information as to whether or not they want to become a real estate investor or not. And hopefully they do want to become a real estate investor. And not only do they want to buy one property, but they want to buy 5, 10, 20 over a period of time, right? Okay, any questions on this at all before I move on? Okay, I do like doing this class in person, by the way. It's just, for me, there's more interaction typically than on Zoom. All right. So financing, what are the different methods of financing? Cash would be one way. 20 to 25% conventional financing, Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, they will both allow up to 10 properties. The rate is usually going to be 1% higher for a non-owner occupied property. So right now, you could probably get 4%. Commercial buildings right now, with good credit, a good investor, they're probably going to get about 4%, maybe slightly less as well. Small banks too may be open to doing some transactions. Portfolio loans, those get to be into a whole nother level of sophistication, but there are lenders out there that will package up 5 or 10 properties. Let's say you had a real estate investor that used up their 10 properties on both Fannie and Freddie, and they're looking to you to say, hey, I want to buy more. How can I get more properties? But I really only want to put down that 20%. Well, it's going to be Fannie and Freddie that are going to allow that. So they might have to, do some sort of portfolio loan where they put all of the properties into one bigger loan, and maybe they built up enough equity to be able to do that. Private lenders and partners might be another way of doing that as well. There seems to be plenty of money available out there right now. Contract for deed. You can search on the MLS for contract for deed listed properties. There's not a lot of them. But a couple of years ago, in a more stable or normal market environment, there was probably at any given time 200 to 250 properties that were listed for sale contract for deed, which is basically seller financing. So I haven't looked this year to see how many. I would think that number is pretty low, though. If there were 50 properties right now that were on the MLS that had a contract for deed as one of the terms, I would be shocked. And then 1031 tax deferred exchange. Somebody might be jumping out of one property and into another one. By the way, don't be afraid of a 1031 tax deferred exchange. They're not that difficult. I've done a number of them. There is an intermediary that will take the cash from the seller at closing, hold that cash until they can get into the new property. There are criteria that you need to adhere to around that, but there's plenty of information that's available on how to do that. Starker Services is great for that. Not only will they be the intermediary for your client, but they will also educate you on what needs to be done in that 1031. You can do a self-directed IRA as well. Whole nother level of sophistication. You want to make sure that you're really up to speed and you have full knowledge as to how that works and what the rules are on that, so that you don't get taxed on it, and make sure that your investor client, if you're working with an investor client, that they understand how that works as well. And then crowdfunding, and I'm just going to leave that there just because I'm not going to I don't want to jump into a whole session on crowdfunding, but that's possible as well, where you just bring in, several investors and you buy property cash. So I'm actually working with a real estate investor right now that's looking to do, and it's not really crowdfunded, but it is more or less multiple investors that are looking to go in and acquire properties. So managing the properties. So what are the choices? Self-manage, advertise on Craigslist, Facebook, Marketplace to find your tenants. You could go through the Multi-Housing Association as well. So mmha.com for forums, education, government information. So, a great place for resources on cities that require rental inspections and other information that, as far as state laws and whatnot around being a landlord. And then tenantreport.com, tenantreports.com, they will do background checks and credit report checks as well. And so you can just go there to find out how you get registered or how your client could get registered to be able to do that. All that information is available at tenantreports.com. And then management company, realtimeleasing.com, local company. They're not the big company that is, advertising on the radio all the time. They're more of a smaller company. Their tenant placement cost is 80% of the first month's rent. Their monthly management is $95 or 8% of the rent. Another rental management company too is Simply Residential Property Management. So I've never worked with them, and they do have a little bit different program than what Real Time Leasing has. But again, if you're working with a real estate investor or yourself and you want to push the easy button, it's going to cost you a little bit of money to do that, but they'll take care of everything for you and they'll tell you what their program is all about. Okay, look at that. It's an hour-long class. We're at 57 minutes in, and I was just a couple minutes late, so I could stay over a couple minutes as well. Now would be a great time to ask any questions that you might have. And I only like easy questions, so please be easy on me. All right, any questions at all? Nope. Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you all for being on today. High earners and high achievers are learners. All of you obviously are learners. I'm glad that you were here today to hear about this. I'll continue to teach this class. Please just take it as many times as you would like to, and go out there and start to analyze properties. And if you have any questions, you can certainly call me. I'll take your call and help you out. Love to see you all gain knowledge on this. We work in the real estate industry, and we should be investing in the real estate industry as well.
Can I tag in a belated question? Sorry, I couldn't get to it. I think Colleen Healy, if she's on the call, I think she kind of told me something about this once, and you might not know the answer, but maybe can guide me in a direction to find someone who does.
Sure.
We want to look at my daughter, who's 19 but still in college, is going to occupy a property that we own. Can I get some info about somehow getting around the non-homestead piece of that?
Yeah, you can homestead a property that your family member lives in.
Got it.
Yeah, so, and that's going to be immediate family. So your parents, your children, they would all qualify for that. You would want to definitely check with the county on that just to verify and make sure of that. But that's a pretty easy Google search.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep, you bet.
Beth, we have done that in our family. We've homesteaded property and have done that.
I
too.
thought it was you that told me that. So it's something I need to add to my list of things to do. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you're going to find out, Beth, I would look into it maybe before you do this, is that the difference in what you pay homestead versus non-homestead, it's usually not a big difference anymore. It used to be a huge difference. And they made some changes in how they do their calculation, and the difference isn't as great as it once was.
Well, interestingly, I live on the same block, so I know exactly the difference basically with the value of the property. And because that property is a corner property, I'm paying both sides of the street.
Okay, so the difference though between the homestead and non-homestead might not be a big number.
Oh, it won't even be. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. Well, they'll definitely get you every way they can. It's just that there might not be a big difference there. And that is good to know too. That's good information to pass along to your investor clients that may have a son or daughter that's looking to go to college, and you're looking to buy an investment property.
What about, is there an effect on a 1031 so if she's living in there, does that affect that too?
So that property could qualify for a 1031 because that is not a property that you own or occupy. Even if you did own or occupy the property, after a period of time, you could, and I'll just say could, still qualify for a 1031. So yeah, at some point, if you wanted to do a like kind exchange, that property should qualify for that. By the way,
But can we get out of that if she's living in there and homesteading it? Can we get out of that tax? Not the 1031, sorry, capital gains.
yeah, so the only way that you could avoid your capital gains on that would be through a 1031. So you would have to go into another property.
Right, unless we lived there for 2 years ourselves.
Correct. That is exactly right. And you too, Beth, you would be getting into a different level of sophistication with that. And so you're going to want to make sure that you study up on that with your tax professional. What a lot of people do though, is let's just take that property and let's just say that you were looking to retire in Florida in a few years. You could 1031, so sell that property, acquire another property down in Florida through a 1031 exchange. You're not ready to retire yet to Florida. You're going to work for X number of years. So you're going to rent that one out. But then when you do retire, you'll end that lease and then you go own or occupy that property. And typically it's going to be a balance between the number of years that you rented that property and the number of years that you own or occupied that property to be able to qualify for that exemption. So you'll want to look into that just to make sure.
Okay, that's a few years down the road for us yet, but interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, I'm just using that as a what if scenario. And it's just good for you to know as you're talking to any investor clients too, because that is a Minnesota thing to do. So, and we can only buy in Southwest Florida or in Scottsdale. Those are the that Minnesotans can go to. By the way, every one of us should have a relationship with an agent in Southwest Florida and in Scottsdale, because I'm very lucky. My sister-in-law, my wife's sister, she lives in Scottsdale, and just in the last 2 years, 5 referrals to her. So, and by the way, Keller Mortgage helps me keep those deals going to her, because I tell them this is the best deal in real estate financing that's available out there. It's the best deal in the mortgage industry. You can only get this deal with a KW agent. And so the client does not wander. They want to get that deal. They want to take advantage of the Keller Mortgage deal. And of course, my sister-in-law has not stiffed me yet on a referral fee. Otherwise, that might make for an uncomfortable Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again. Does anybody have any other questions?
I have a question. What are your thoughts about refinancing an investment property to purchase another property, as long as it still cash flows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you're going to get into a situation where you might be extending, the mortgage on that property. You might have it paid down to whatever, 15 years. And now you're going to go into a 30-year, but maybe not. Maybe you're going to go into a 20-year to do that as well and pull that cash out. So I would just say, get super familiar with the financial tools in the MLS, because I'm in there all the time punching stuff in and just like, is this a good deal or not? And it'll show you, the full payment schedule as well, how much every month you're paying in principal and interest all the way through. And that way you can really do an analysis on that. But yeah, that is a great way to go, especially when interest rates are between 3 and 4%,
I have one investment property that I bought in '02. And so we'd been thinking about possibly selling it this summer, just because, prices are so great. But I'm also thinking, instead of selling it, what if, and we're doing some work on it now. It had a 1980s kitchen. So we're putting a new kitchen into it. But because I think I can either rent it for more now with a nicer kitchen, or rent it and then refinance it, or I could sell it and then do a 1031 exchange. So I'm trying to decide between the two what to do.
Yeah. So most people would probably tell you don't sell it, as a, wealth building strategy. Hang on to it, pull some cash out through the refi that you don't pay taxes on, go acquire another property, and then maybe decide what you want to do with that property into the future, especially right now with the way, hold on to it just for the appreciation rates alone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. We had a good group today. Thanks for being on. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
You bet.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Todd.
You bet.